Hi, everybody. Happy CSIP time. Excited to be bringing you a little bit of a video tutorial so that everybody can hopefully be reminded about at least how to get into eProve for this CSIP. So this is a very quick video that's just going to be really focused on logistics. And we'll do several more check-ins and work sessions and times that I'm more than willing to come in and work with you at your school, or and I'll give you some dates here up and coming that we can kind of come together and work. Hopefully this year, if for most of you who've been familiar with eProve, it's like riding a bike. It is all there for you. And I'm just going to kind of remind you really quickly how to log in. And I think once you get in here, you'll be reminded and acclimated again. So hopefully it won't be too bad. So this is the website. It's the advanceded.org. It's in the email I'm going to send out. So I'm just going to take you through logging in here, your email address. If you forget your password from last year, you can just do request password. It'll go right to your email. You log in. Your school should be brought up right away. I'm just going to go into Yaley here and just to remind you of what the screens look like. So this is a new upgrade from KDE called My Journey, which links the eProve Elliott tool that we've been using in several of our schools and we're getting ready to use a lot more. Also with surveys, I'm going to talk to the 50-50 committee about this as an option if and when we're ready to do more student voice surveys. There's many different surveys that are on here for your use. It tallies your results for you. It's an awesome tool that the state provides us for free. And then finally, down here to Diagnostics is where you want to go. So you click Go to Diagnostics. This screen should be familiar to you. I've gone into everybody's and put the year in front of all of your diagnostics. So 2017-18 were obviously from last year. And you should see where it says status, it should have a blue circle with lock, meaning that it was turned in last year, evaluated by the state, nothing more that you need to do to this. Okay, so hopefully that's all done in everybody's screen. There's two ways that you could start the new diagnostics. By the way, let me just pause here for a second and remind you that when we're going through the school improvement process, the actual idea of school improvement is what we're trying to get at, which means that we review our data, obviously, we diagnose our needs, we set goals, plan strategies, and then monitor our progress. And it is meant to be that ongoing cycle. So part of the data review process is all of these crazy diagnostics and assurances that we have to do. Some are easier, some take more time. I also put a link into the email to the CSIP page on KDE. You will notice and probably freak out if I don't, or maybe you'll freak out, I don't know, about the timeline. So saying that the phase 1 was supposed to be between August 1st and October 1st, phase 2 between October 1st, November 1st, phase 3 between November 1st and the end of December. Phase 4 is your progress monitoring phase, which is the whole school year. So there's no such real timeline that has to really be followed, except we need these all finished before we all leave for Christmas break. So I'll send out more on that later, but I don't want you to be freaked out and think about like that you have to follow a certain order. You don't. This is mostly done by you, your leadership team, could be your teacher leaders. And as we go throughout the assurances, that it will make sense to you what you feel like, okay, I need to do this myself. For example, the safety report. When you find your safety report, you will feel really great about yourself because you just go in, it's a super little simple checklist, and then it shows up with a blue circle, and that's awesome. So feel like that's done quickly, and you already proved this through in your October SBDM meeting anyway, so it's just simply answering very quick one-word answers. So that one is the first one that I would do if I were you, is your school safety report. Okay, so going back in here to remind myself, if I'm Renee, hi Renee, I'm going to act as you today. When you see content library, that's where you want to go. What shows up here obviously is My Diagnostics. So you can go to this hamburger tab, or you could click New Diagnostic. The trick is, if you go here, you'll see that all these blue ribbons show up. The blue ribbons is not anything that you need. This is all, the blue ribbons are all advanced ed. You don't need blue ribbons. So you have to hit Browse Content Library, or you go over here to Content Library, and this screen shows up either way. So make sure you go into Content Library. The first thing that's highlighted here is your advanced ed. You don't need advanced ed. Those are your blue ribbons. You don't need those. Many of you got struggled with that last year, and then you did more than you had to do. So make sure you click on KDE. Once you click on KDE, obviously if it says school, you need to, there's an action that's required. If it says system, that's the district action. So you only pay attention to where it says schools, and I think there's 8 total diagnostics for you to do. So for example, the first one, it is done by phases. So everything that they say is in phase 1, KDE that is right here. There's only one, and that's what they said you should have done before October, which it's fine that we're doing now. Phase 2 is many more of your diagnosis, assurances and diagnostics. Phase 3 is really into the CSIP. That's where you're actually doing your goals and plans and your achievement gap diagnostic. And then phase 4 isn't even on here yet because that's not until after January 1. So Renee would choose schools, and then under action, she just chooses start a diagnostic with custom content. It appears right here. A weird trick that we had to realize last year is you want to kind of click on open diagnostic, because when we get to the point where we're adding attachments, if you don't click open diagnostic, you cannot add attachments. And many of these later on, we will add attachments. Okay, so I'm gonna go back out and I'm gonna pretend that I'm Renee, and I'm gonna try and do the easiest way possible to get this first KDE continuous improvement diagnostic done. So Renee can just open up her last year's 2017-18 diagnostic. She could scroll down, and let's say she's on question 2. Question 1 is who's on the committee, who's looked at this, which is probably your SBDM members. But let's say she's on questions 2. Whoops, don't do that. Don't do that. Sorry. She can just copy, oh, I did it again. She could just copy and then go back to her new one that she's working on and then click edit because she's already got it here. And she can go down to question 2 and she can simply paste, okay? Not saying you're going to do that every time, but there definitely is a time for cut and paste in these as you're reading them, all right? So so if I'm in Renee here, I might go ahead and edit this to put 2018-19 Yaley phase 1, and that way it'll automatically show up together so that I don't have some of these words intermingled with last year's. So 2018-19, every time you open a new diagnostic would keep them together, okay? One more quick little thing, and then I try to keep this to 10 minutes or less. So one more quick thing I would want to show you is that when you're under Content Library and you're at KDE, anywhere you see schools, I would go ahead and get my diagnostics all together under my diagnostics. So we already did this one for Renee. So because this one says schools, you just click that start. You might want to simply edit the name to put your year in school in there, and then you never have to save. It automatically stays. So you can see that this is in here for Renee, is in a draft form. All right, and again, go to Content Library, KDE, where it says schools. So I've done this one, you just keep going in order. Schools, create a new diagnostic, change the name, go to the back arrow, and it automatically is there. Remember, this is like a Google Doc. You never have to save anything. It automatically should be there, okay? So you just keep on doing that. again, content library, KDE, go to the next one, it says school, change the name. At least then it'll all show up under my diagnostics. So you know that you now have the 8 from last year, and you should have a total of 16 right here by the time you add all the 8 from this year. Okay, so that's a good start. I'm over 10 minutes, so I'm going to stop. And then we'll get into more specifics, but I wanted you to have access to get this started. Again, the safety report is the one that I feel good about. That's the first one. And then obviously you can start to fill in the blank on your other diagnostics. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I hope this helps.